you are a student, the great seats of learning of the old world were grand universities, where the next generation of the intellectual elite were educated. Once cloistered and isolated religious academies, they gradually evolved to serve the demands of the Industrial Revolution, and after the fall of the world, they continued much as they always had, ruled by their deans and professors as private fiefdoms, confronting the rigors of the new world with grad student labor. You learn to fly as part of your education. Student is a mechanically unusual background. Look at their stat blocks, they are terrible. You instead get to put points into your skill set which add on to any roles when the situation fits. That's what student is about. Everything they learned about in the academia gave them a potent skill set, but left them without a solid grasp of a place in the world. Within their narrow specializations, student can be very powerful because unlike real world the degrees we learned could actually be useful, but outside of those specializations, they are not going to do very well. They also carry crippling debt. In terms of themes, students are defined by two things: 1, their skill set, obviously; 2, their privilege. In their schools, students are somewhat isolated from hardship and have been able to dedicate many years of their life to their education instead of day-to-day survival. This makes them a little like the players in some ways, coming to the apocalypse for the experience instead of from necessity. It should be no surprise that student is somewhat modeled after exaggerated versions of modern college students and graduates throughout the world, especially America. They have crippling debts, advanced education the job market doesn't want, lack real-world experience, and they are still luckier than most people. Haha, depression. As for fictional archetypes, the student plays on several pulp archetypes. They can be mad scientists, the know-it-all sidekick who always has exposition for the scene, or an inventor that just wants to create, usually potentially dangerous creations. Now, before getting into the moves, let's talk about the skill system first. When you make a student, you get to put 5 points in any of the following skills, and to add more you only need 3 experience points, cheaper than what you need for stats increase or new move. The system is intended to be used loosely and permissively, with the student generally able to use any skill they can justify, even if the justification is somewhat tenuous. For example, when you press an issue, you could use clinical psychology to convince others, use arts and literature to seduce someone with flowery language, or just use physical education to demand someone to do something because just cause you are a student doesn't mean you don't have bulging biceps. Mental gymnastics to try and justify a skill's utility in increasingly unlikely situations is essentially the point of the system, as the student filters the world through their narrow specializations. While engineering is perhaps the obvious and mechanically optimal path, students that specialize in other fields can turn a campaign on their head. An arts and literature student can create masterpieces, a history and mythology student could engage with the Fae in a way no one else could, and a politic and law student could straight up just be both an ace pilot and ace attorney. The student truly benefits greatly from a creative mind. You will also notice that there's no skill for physics, because I'm fairly certain if that actually get put in, everyone will just pick it and abuse it for all of the aircraft roll and shooting roll like it was fucking wanted. Just because you know trigonometry, that won't actually make you a good sniper. You need to be Matt Damon first. Still, final decision on whether the skill works or not is dependent on the GM, and it's a good policy to make skill justification a simple process. Just give a quick explanation followed by immediate approval or rejection. Don't argue about it, call it a learning experience. Moving on to the moves, a student's core move is thesis. Yes, the student's core move is literally about writing their thesis, for once per routine. If you give up on something the rest of the team is doing to work on your dissertation, mark 1 stress and tally 1 for dissertation progress. When you present your thesis, roll 2d10 plus progress. On a 16 plus, you may choose to retire to academia as your destiny. Your comrades can all use your skills for roles, providing they can contact you. Otherwise, erase all your dissertation progress. Remember, the student is out here not for fun and not for self-discovery, probably, maybe a little bit, but the main reason they are outside of their school is to research for their thesis, writing as they adventure. It's totally optional, but it provides a unique endpoint to the character. And honestly, if writing a thesis involves flying a plane, shooting down fascists, and being in life or death situations, I might actually pay more attention when writing my own thesis, or I might just be straight up dead. As for how to communicate with the students, you can just assume that contacting the student is easy, via telegraphs, letters, or radios. It can also represent the student leveraging their academic resources to help the players from a distance. As for their intimacy move, Student has curiosity. When you put aside your work for somebody, each of you asks another a personal question. You do not need to answer, or answer honestly, but each question answered honestly gives everyone 1 XP, nobody can be asked more than one question. If you use this move in the air, anyone who is honest gets plus 1 XP. This move pretty much plays into the student's theme of learning new things as they go, giving all the participants free experience point. Of course, nobody actually need to answer honestly, and it could also be hilarious if getting an honest answer makes you go oh god oh fuck instead. Onto the personal moves. Student actually starts off with only one of their personal moves, and student only has 3 of it to pick, so if they want to learn more personal moves, they gonna need to start having social conversations with characters of other classes. First, tinkerers. When you create something, or fix something, state how it should work and roll plus com. On a hit, it works. On 16 plus, choose one of the following. On 11 to 15, take both. You essentially could make anything with this move, from guns of the future to a rock-solid contract that can bind even the Fae, and the student should work with the GM to find out what the limitations should be. If it requires machinery or labor, you need to acquire them up front with Get Stuff move. You can't create something out of nothing, and it should be more expensive than just buying it if it's just plain available. Second, know it all. When you offer an explanation, speak it and roll plus keen. On a 16 plus, it's true. On an 11 to 15, you're mostly right. Pick another player to tell the rest of the story. The team takes plus 2 forward if they use this information. On a miss, you're very wrong. This move allows the student to define the world around them, allowing the player to feel empowered and knowledgeable about the world. This might disrupt whatever the GM is planning, but that's okay. It's better to let them have their moment and add their contributions to the fictional world. And finally, anthropology. When you ask about where somebody came from, roll plus hard. On a 16 plus, you can spend XP to take one of their moves as though there was a move exchange. They do not spend XP, get a move, or get to veto your choice, but they gain 2 XP if they break trust with you. So, Western academia has a long and awful history of appropriating knowledge of other cultures and using it for their own ends without respect for the people the knowledge came from or the way they might want that knowledge disseminated or used. This move emulates that form of cultural appropriation, and it's a way to make a more confrontational student who represents the worst of their traditions. Remember, you don't have to take this move, and groups can veto it. With the moves finished, let's talk about the planes a student could start with. Students' planes are essentially some of the most technologically advanced planes around. They are practically wonders of the future that the world might not be ready for, because they still crash and burn. This includes a used Jernsbach Experiment 0012, a highly advanced literal energy fighter that probably has too much stuff on it, a used Das Gegenbeispiel, an agile high-speed turn fighter that is very likely to just kill the pilot, a used Universitat Cobra M01, a plane so stable it's actually hard to turn, and a used Tiger Schnell's Mammut, a loud as all hell bomber that's also very fast for its size. You can also, for the first time ever, build your own plane with 20 Thaler. I seriously recommend talking to your GM about it because it's very easy to make a non-Euclidean plane design with absurd stats because it's less a plane and more a miserable pile of maths. And that's all on the student, who left their academy to learn about the outside world, and might just learn more than that. Anyway, that's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell button. If you really want to support my channel, you could visit my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.